Through your generosity, the Annual Catholic Appeal continues to serve our community.
I'm Judy Williams. At New Direction, we offer peer counseling, educational support, free pregnancy tests, limited ultrasound, as well as baby clothes, diapers, formula, and more, all made possible by the Annual Catholic Appeal.
The Annual Catholic Appeal, assisting our neighbors here in Western Massachusetts. Visit diospringfield.org and make your donation today. Thank you for your support.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
I ask that you consider a gift to our Annual Catholic Appeal.
The Annual Catholic Appeal is underway. Dan Dumas takes a look at what's happening in the Diocese of Springfield.
Jesus gives his life that we might have life.
And we're back in the kitchen with Father Brian McGrath with a perfect Lenten treat. These stories and more are just ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel. Hello and welcome to Reel to Reel. Today we are visiting Kate's Kitchen in Holyoke, a program operated by Providence Ministries, providing a hot noon meal every weekday for those in need in the community. This is just one of about 40 agencies and services supported by the Annual Catholic Appeal of the Diocese of Springfield, currently underway in the diocese. More on Kate's Kitchen coming up in our program, but first, this week Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rosansky met with members of the media to give an update on the 2016 Annual Catholic Appeal. This year's theme, Lord Have Mercy. Kathy Harrington tells us more.
Every day, our neighbors in need pass through these doors.
Welcoming neighbors in for the last 36 years, Kate's Kitchen in Holyoke offers a lunchtime meal, thanks in part to funding from the Annual Catholic Appeal. Bishop Mitchell Rosansky paid a visit to the Hamilton Street Kitchen this week and offered a 3-week update on the campaign's progress. With $938,000 donated, there is still far to go.
But we need to hear from more people if we are to meet and hopefully exceed last year's total of $2.6 million. I understand that for many of our diocesan families, finances are limited. But no matter how much you can afford to donate, know that what you are donating is making a real difference in the lives of so many.
Anywhere between 80 and 200 people a day.
The community need for a daily meal is great, according to Providence Ministries Executive Director Karen Blanchard. She credits the Annual Catholic Appeal as well as the community for supporting the mission of Kate's Kitchen to serve a meal 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Blanchard said whoever walks in the door needing a meal is fed.
It helps us to keep our doors open and to feed thousands and thousands of people each and every year. Over 62,000 people are served here at Kate's Kitchen alone, and that doesn't even include our emergency food pantry and the people that we house in our housing areas.
Following a tour of the kitchen with Blanchard, the bishop said this work is what the Holy Father is calling for from all Catholics.
Pope Francis, during his whole papacy, has really challenged the Catholic community to reach out to those who are on the margins. And when I come to a place like Kate's Kitchen, it really shows me how the gospel translates to concrete experience in our own day. There's so many people who are involved in the work of Kate's Kitchen from all over the community. And it just shows me how working together we can really do a wonderful gospel service that's truly needed by our community and that truly works in this community.
The Western Mass Food Bank contributes to the pantry at Kate's Kitchen, and community support to fill the shelves comes from the Big Y, Stop and Shop, and Target. And thanks to partnerships with farmers, summer meals include plenty of fresh produce. The Annual Catholic Appeal funding does more than feed those in need. It provides education and kitchen training that can lead to a new career. A culinary training program is now working with its 7th class of students at Kate's Kitchen.
It was a program that was done in another part of the country, Seattle, Washington, the Catalyst Kitchen model. And Chef Ralph was at a conference down in Texas and he heard about it and he got so excited about it, he thought, we got to do it in our area.
And not long after, Food Works began. The training empowers unemployed and underemployed people, giving many a second chance in life.
Great job.
Pedro Rivera's dreams of becoming a professional boxer were derailed by some of life's hard knocks. Now he's more than halfway through the FoodWorks training program, and he comes alive when he talks about this opportunity to learn a skill and how to work as a team and to serve others.
Everything is hands-on, and it's also working with people, working with children that come and eat, they come from the streets to come and eat. So it's like basically is you dealing with people, dealing with what we got to get done. So it's very interesting, keeps you busy, and it's all a good purpose. We also get helped how to do applications. We also get helped how to do resumes, thank you letters. So we get the whole works, it's very helpful, and we really appreciate it, We are blessed, to put it like that.
Once the training is complete, the students spend 2 weeks working in the restaurant of a local kitchen and then are ready for their first paying culinary job. Reporting for Reel to Reel, I'm Kathy Harrington.
And we know that the annual Catholic Appeal benefits more than 40 agencies, including our very own Catholic Communications Ministry. But none of this is possible without your help. For more information about the appeal and to make your pledge or donation, go to our website at iobserve.org and click on the ACA link. And still to come on Reel to Reel, Dan Dumas takes a look at what's happening in the Diocese of Springfield, and Father Brian McGrath shares his pretzel recipe. These stories and more are still to come on this edition of Reel to Reel.
Through your generosity, the annual Catholic Appeal continues to serve our community.
I'm Judy Williams. At New Direction, we offer peer counseling, educational support, free pregnancy tests, limited ultrasound, as well as baby clothes, diapers, formula, and more, all made possible by the annual Catholic Appeal.
The annual Catholic Appeal, assisting our neighbors here in Western Massachusetts. Visit diospringfield.org and make your donation today. Thank you for your support.
The Chalice of Salvation, your weekly spiritual connection. I'm Passionist Brother Terrence Scanlon, your Chalice host, inviting you to take time out of your busy days and join us Sunday morning at 10. We welcome Father Albert Shearer, pastor of Our Lady of the Cross Parish in Holyoke, as our celebrant. The Chalice of Salvation, your spiritual connection, Sunday morning at 10, right here on 22 News.
The Grey House in Springfield invites you to its 25th annual Spaghetti Supper this coming Wednesday, March 9th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Greek Cultural Center, 22 St. George Street in Springfield. Enjoy good company and a good meal, all for a good cause. Helping this important community and education center started by the Sisters of St. Joseph. Tickets are $5 for adults, children 6 and under are free. So bring your appetite this Wednesday for the 25th annual Grey House Spaghetti Supper.
I'm Dan Dumas with your Reel to Reel news brief. The bishops of Massachusetts, including Springfield Bishop Mitchell Rosansky, issued a statement on Wednesday addressing the opioid abuse crisis in our state. In the document, the bishops acknowledged the challenge faced by this crisis. They wrote, "Given the scope of the problem, we feel some degree of urgency to find a solution to this public health and policy crisis that has reached dangerous levels. The lives negatively impacted by this disaster represent all economic, age, gender, or racial categories. The impact is far-reaching, leading to eventual breakdown of families, friendships, neighborhoods, and communities." They went on to encourage the lawmakers on Beacon Hill and the governor to pass legislation that at least starts the process of addressing this epidemic. In other news, Catholic Scouts got together last Sunday for their annual gathering in Palmer. Carolee McGrath reports.
After months of studying and preparation, local Scouts were recognized for earning religious emblems at St. Thomas the Apostle Parish in Palmer. Clergy from local congregations were present for Ecumenical Scout Sunday. Pam Kosnicki is Religious Emblems Coordinator for the General Knox District of Western Massachusetts.
Well, this is a time the Scouts of all the different faiths can come together and worship together. They have different religious emblems that are developed by the individual faiths.
Kosnicki, the mother of an Eagle Scout and Girl Scout, is a member of Divine Mercy Parish in Three Rivers.
So what they do is they obtain the book and they work in group with their mentor and fulfill the requirements. There's also a retreat that we have every year at Camp Holy Cross.
More than 30 Scouts and their families attended the prayer service.
During the last year, I've been working on the Light of Christ alone.
Father Eugene Plass, the pastor of St. Thomas the Apostle Parish, is also the Scout chaplain for the Diocese of Springfield. He recognized Boy Scouts from local parishes who earned religious emblems, including the Light of Christ.
It's once a year we talk about their worshiping, and we try to get them to go through different degrees and books that they follow to learn more about their faith.
Boy Scout Aiden Day is from Troop 164.
This is the first emblem, and it's called the Light of Christ. It's like whenever you're baptized, a light turns on, and like you're representing that light.
Reverend Don Adams, the pastor of First Congregational Church in Brimfield, recognized Scouts who attend local Protestant congregations. Girl Scout Laura McDermott attends Blessed Sacrament Parish and School in Holyoke. And you know, if you're ever sad, who's always on your side?
God and Jesus.
How does that make you feel, like, to have that?
It makes me feel important because I have someone I can share my life with.
Following the service, Scouts and their families gathered for refreshments in the parish hall. I'm Carolee McGrath reporting.
In Northampton, the Veterans Medical Center held an important remembrance in February for the brave sacrifice of some military chaplains. Steve Kiltonick reports.
It was the winter of 1943, and the Battle of the Atlantic was being fiercely waged. German U-boats were prowling the seas looking for Allied merchant ships to sink. On February 3, 1943, the U.S. Army transport Dorchester was carrying 900 troops bound for an American base in Greenland. Aboard were 4 chaplains of different faiths. The Reverend George Fox, a Methodist, a Jewish rabbi, Alexander Good, the Reverend Clark Poing of the Dutch Reformed Church, and a Catholic priest from New Jersey, Father John Washington. Just after midnight, a torpedo from a U-boat struck Dorchester's starboard, instantly killing 100 men. In the chaos that ensued, soldiers rushed to lifeboats. According to eyewitnesses, the 4 chaplains could be seen comforting the wounded and directing others to safety. They distributed life jackets, and when they ran out, each one of the chaplains removed their own and gave them to 4 other soldiers. One survivor recalled, "It was the finest thing I have ever seen, or hope to have seen, this side of heaven." As the Dorchester sank, the chaplains were seen arm in arm, praying and singing hymns. 670 men perished. Only 230 survived. At the VA Medical Center Chapel in Leeds, the 4 chaplains were honored for their sacrifice. Attending the ceremony were veterans from across the region, including the American Legion and various VFW posts. The life story of each chaplain was read, and a memorial wreath was placed in front of the chapel altar where the 4 pictures of the chaplains were displayed. The 4 chaplains have been recognized here on the first Sunday of February for the past 41 years. David Whitley spoke on the importance of remembering the chaplain's sacrifice.
It upholds some of the greatest ideals of the American spirit, service to others, the willingness to deny oneself for the service, the ultimate sacrifices that are reflected in the Congressional Medal of Honor, and in this case, the 4 Chaplains Medal.
Because the Medal of Honor's strict requirements of heroism under fire, Congress authorized in 1960 a one-time Chaplain's Medal for heroism. In addition, in 1948, a U.S. stamp was issued to honor the chaplains. The VA chapel also has its own stained glass window dedicated to the chaplains. When the chaplains perished, it was the first time the interfaith component was noted, recognizing a Catholic, Jew, and Protestant for serving together with a common purpose.
I think that as powerful as the interfaith aspect of it was their sacrifice that just cut to the bone.
We're all bound together in one commonality of service and survival. So these 4 chaplains indicate that when the chips are down, we all depend on one another for survival, for encouragement.
Ceremonies like this and others across the country help to keep the memory of the 4 chaplains, their courage and selflessness, always alive. In Northampton, I'm Steve Kiltonic.
Finally, in that same vein, we honor today the fallen Virginia police officer Ashley Gwindon, a Springfield native. Killed just a week ago on her very first day of duty, Ashley's funeral will be held on Monday at Sacred Heart Parish in Springfield, followed by burial next to her father at St. Thomas Cemetery in West Springfield. Our prayers and sympathy go out to her extended Western Mass family. Remember to find all the latest news in the Catholic Church locally or beyond. Log on to our news and information website, iobserve.org. There you'll get the latest and most accurate news in the Catholic Church, as well as have access to past stories from Reel to Reel and reports from the Catholic News Service. That's iobserve.org. I'm Dan Dumas, and that's your Reel to Reel News Brief.
You are watching Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. Here again is your Reel to Reel host, Sharon Roulier.
Here at Kate's Kitchen, there's a fairly new program being run by Chef Ralph Webb. We first brought you this story last November. The program is called FoodWorks, and its mission is to help people with barriers to employment learn valuable life skills and also transform their lives.
Take the backbone out. We're not going to eat that. Now, feel there's a bone right here, right there, and right there. If you get into it, you can't cut through it. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to split these chickens in.
A retired Holyoke Public School culinary arts teacher, Ralph Webb uses his expertise as a chef and educator, working to help those in the program to get back into the workforce.
I have people in here that have been incarcerated for many, many years and have been very successful getting back out into industry. And the program I have now, I have a few that are out there. I have people that just need to find a job.
FoodWorks is a 10-week course based on a successful West Coast program and currently uses Kate's Kitchen facilities as a classroom for students.
The model, as I said, came from a program in Seattle, Washington, and called Fair Start Seattle. All right, and it's a spectacular program where they coordinate with some of the people they deal with. They go back to school and get their degrees. They go back. They go into industries and be very successful.
Providence Ministries serves a noon meal to those in need every day at Kate's Kitchen. And Director Karen Blanchard says the FoodWorks program enhances what Providence Ministries already does.
And it just really fits into our mission of feeding, clothing, and housing the poor of our community. Now we're educating, so we're not only offering the basic needs, but we're even doing beyond that by the education of people.
Now, if you want to cut a half a chicken, you just cut right down there. If you want to cut a quarter of a chicken, I'll show you later.
Along with basic cooking skills, they are eligible to receive their ServSafe certification, a sanitation and hygiene program from the National Restaurant Association. And the students learn some math and writing, too.
My feeling is if you can work as a team in a kitchen under the stresses and the different things that happen in the kitchen, that you can really put those things into just about any kind of job skill out there.
I'm hoping to find a job in a professional kitchen to see if I can get more skills so I can expand my catering business.
John Green says he hopes after graduation that he can get a job as a banquet chef.
I've been in the kitchens before, but I haven't been in them in a while, and I wanted to come back and relearn things that I've already learned before. And they gave me the opportunity to do that. You know, and I also get to get my safe serve out of this if I study. You know, so that's another big opportunity for me as well. You know, so, and I also get to serve the people of Holyoke. You know, that makes me feel good inside.
This program is so popular in Holyoke right now that Chef Ralph is already set to double its size in a few months.
I'm right in the middle of a grant that we got from the city of Holyoke to build a teaching kitchen.
He says the new kitchen at Providence Ministries will be able to accommodate twice as many students. It's so great that this program is expanding to help even more people learn some really valuable skills. So we are about halfway through Lent, and for those of you who have given up sweets and basically anything that tastes good, we have a great recipe for you now that is perfect for this Lenten season. So we're back in the kitchen here with Father Brian McGrath. He's the pastor of St. John's in Agawam, and we asked him to come up with a Lenten recipe, and can't be sweet, can't be candy, can't be meat, and can't taste good. No, I'm just kidding. And it's not fish. So what do you have for us today, Father Brian?
So one of the great traditional recipes for Lent is pretzels. And it goes way back to ancient times. It starts even with the Romans. They used to make pretzels in the shape of a Roman calendar, which is like a circle with a dot in the middle and 4 quadrants, quattro stagione. And over time, as the Christians took over, we move away from the Roman solstice calendar to a sort of an image of praying arms. And so it's kind of the pretzel shape is like a praying arm shape.
I always thought it meant the Trinity.
Yeah, and we pray to the Trinity, so it's not a bad thing to think about when we see a pretzel. And so the thing about pretzels is that they're a dough, and a lot of people get afraid of working with yeast and stuff, but I love working with dough, so it's one of my favorite things. It's a great way to work out some of the stuff in life. So in order to do this, we start with water and yeast and sugar. We'll need some flour and some salt. And with that, we'll make our pretzel dough. And then to cook the pretzel dough, we'll need some baking soda, some salt, some egg for an egg wash, and some more salt to put on top of the pretzels. And people get intimidated with the yeast and the water. And we start with the water. It needs to be sort of a nice bath temperature. If it feels good to you, it's going to feel good to the yeast. Some people, if you put your finger into water, it's really hot, it's not good for the yeast either. And so I usually just go with that. We're going to take just a tablespoon of yeast. When you measure a tablespoon, it's going to be level. And we're going to add just a little bit of sugar. So just a tablespoon of sugar. This is what we call proofing the yeast. I like to give it just a little bit of the flour. This is going to call for 5.5 cups of flour. So you measure your flour out level.
I learned that in 6th grade.
There we go.
Take a knife and
level it off. So all I'm doing is just giving it a little bit of space to grow. So I'm going to put this yeast in the warm water, something to eat, flour, and a little bit of sugar. While that's sitting for a couple minutes, we'll measure off another 5 cups into our mixing bowl. Now, yeast really does not like salt. So don't put the salt directly into the yeast. What we're going to do with the salt is put it into the flour. It kind of acts like a buffering.
Okay.
So we've got our yeast mixture now. It's starting to proof. It's starting to bubble a little bit. It's activated. I'm going to add it into we just start our mixer up. So what we're going to do is put that in a bowl and let it rise for about 2 hours.
Okay.
All right, so we're 2 hours later and the dough has risen. Remember the size of a small little ball. Now it's at least twice its size. So as we get the dough ready, we're going to start our water to boil, which is a little surprise. People don't think of pretzels being boiled. And then our oven to heat. So we're going to take our dough. So you see how that's all that air? So it's a lot wetter now because it's got the water from the yeast growing. And we do what we call punch it down. So now we're taking the air out of it. We punch down our dough, and now we're going to make pretzels. So how do we make 16 pretzels? Well, there's 2. Now I've got 4. Now I've got 8.
Now this is a math lesson.
Right, you're just going all the way down until you get down to 16. You want to get in on this?
Sure.
So maybe a little bit of flour in your hand so you don't, we're going to just roll them out. All right, so you have your, right?
Yep.
We're going to make it into a shape. So bring it across, bring the other one across. Okay.
Oh.
And then I just take my finger and press down in our pretzel shape. So we've got our water going. We're going to add some baking soda to the water. It goes from this really bubbling boil,
Whoa.
like a sizzling boil. It's interesting how, I don't know, it's just the carbonation does something
How much
wonderful.
baking soda was that?
About 2 tablespoons. We're going to take our pretzels. Now they've sat for a little bit, so they've grown a little bit in size. I'm just going to lay them in. This boiling process is what gives them that crusty crust on the outside.
Oh.
Ooh, that's a slippery one. You want to be a little bit gentle because we don't want it to fall.
Okay.
And take our egg and make what's called an egg wash. And we'll paint the pretzel.
And what does this do?
This is what gives it the color. All right, so we've got our egg wash on it and a little bit of salt. And we'll put it in the oven. About 15 minutes.
Okay.
This is where I like to think about when we, in our Catholic spirituality, we think about Jesus as the bread of life. And one of the cool things about Jesus as the bread of life is he takes the stuff of our world and he makes it into something special. And bread is alive. Like literally that stuff, the yeast was growing. As long as I can feed it and nourish it, it'll stay alive for as long as I give it a place to live and stuff to eat. But you really can't eat dough. So for the dough to become food, it needs to die. So we put it into the oven and it dies. The bread, the heat of the oven, the yeast gets excited, it starts to grow again, and then it gets killed by the heat of the oven so that we can live. And it's that really beautiful image of Jesus, especially in Lent. We're moving towards this passion where Jesus gives his life that we might have life. And I thought, so Jesus as the bread of life has literally died for us that we might live forever.
It's a beautiful analogy.
All right, so it's about 15 minutes later. Let's check and see how they look.
Okay. Looking good.
Nice toasty brown. Some people would like it a little bit darker, but that looks good to me. So that's it, our
Okay.
pretzels.
Ooh, that's steamy. Thank you.
Right?
Delicious. Good job.
Thanks.
Happy Lent.
Happy Lent.
Thanks so much to Father Brian McGrath for inviting us into his kitchen and for another great recipe. And if you would like a copy of Father Brian's pretzel recipe, you can find it on our website at iobserve.org. Our thanks also to everyone here at Kate's Kitchen for hosting our visit today. You can support the organization by participating in the annual Catholic Appeal. Kate's Kitchen, this television program, and some 40 other agencies serving young and old alike benefit from your contributions to the annual Catholic Appeal. So please consider making your donation. We have a secure link at our website at iobserve.org, where you can also find all of the latest news on the church, both in the Diocese of Springfield and around the world. That's iobserve.org. And I will see you right back here next week at this same time for another edition of Real to Real, your window on the world around you. Have a great week.
Real to Real is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.